Recently, a Peter McKinnon video popped up on my feed titled "The Film Look on Any Camera," and I was intrigued. Now, unfortunately, it was just a product announcement video, which, no hate, dude's gotta eat, but it did get me thinking how someone could achieve a film look, or at least a filmic look, on any camera. So, in this video, I'm gonna take my Lumix S5 IIX, I'm gonna take a Fuji X-T32, I'm gonna take an iPhone and a GoPro, and I'm gonna show you how you can get a filmic look on any camera. Right, so while the look is made in post, it's really crafted and created beforehand. So I have a few recommendations. First, the classic. Change your shutter speed to 24 FPS. Is this gonna magically make your footage look filmic or cinematic? No. It's shutter speed. Second, shoot with a diffusion filter of some kind. I find having something like a diffusion filter in front of your lens kind of just helps take that digital edge off, or, just kind of like smooth things out ever so slightly, bloom the highlights ever so slightly. I'm shooting with a Tiffin Quater Pro Mist on my camera right now, but on my Fuji, I typically shoot with these cheap little diffusion filters I got off Amazon. I think it was like $30 or $40 for a 2-pack. So you could just shoot with something like that. Or if you're looking for a more affordable option, there are tons of tutorials on here that will show you how to do that. Third, dynamic range. Film can have crazy dynamic range. So if your camera shoots log, I recommend doing that. If it doesn't, I recommend trying to find at least the flattest profile that your camera has, or failing that again, bringing the contrast and saturation all the way down to 0. And that's it. Once you have those things going on your camera before you start shooting, it's gonna make crafting that look afterwards a lot easier. Now, before we jump in and actually start building the look, I am using Resolve Studio and the tools available in Resolve Studio. If you don't have Resolve Studio, that's fine. The key takeaways and the points in this video are largely foundational. So you can take everything that I'm going to be talking about and apply it in another software. I'm just giving you the building blocks to make a filmic look. This is not the be-all, end-all way of doing it. Here are the cameras. So I have the Fuji X-T32. This is like the everyday normal camera. I'm going to be shooting a flat profile Eterna on this. It can shoot log, but for this purposes, I'm going to be shooting Eterna. I have the GoPro Hero 10, I think. Similarly, shooting flat on this. And then I have my Lumix S5 IIX. I'm going to be shooting 10-bit log on this one. This is going to be like the cinema camera stand-in, 10-bit 42 log, so a standard enough format. And then lastly, I'm going to be shooting with the iPhone. I'm going to be shooting 10-bit log using the Blackmagic Cam app, which is free. So if you have an iPhone 15 or 16, you can do this exact thing as well. Okay, good? Good. So once you have all your footage in Resolve, the first step is to transform any log footage into Rec. 709. I'm going to drop a color space transform on here and move it to the end of my node tree. Then we can start balancing the image by adjusting the exposure and the white balance. Once the image is balanced, we can start actually creating the look. So we're going to hop over to the color slice tool and start dialing in the density. Colors in film are subtractive, not additive, meaning the more saturated they are, the darker they get. So this is going to help give us those deep, rich colors that film is known for. Wait, by the way, the reason I changed my shirt is so you can see how the density works on other colors. It's going to affect this yellow a ton. It affects yellow and red, and so my skin tone, this yellow, we'll see how it affects the green, but that's kind of where it's at. Once we have that dialed in, we can drop on Film Look Creator, and up until now, everything I've done is available in the free version of Resolve, but Film Look Creator is a Resolve Studio exclusive. Set it to clean slate to start from scratch, but here is where we really start building that look. Now, there are a number of filmic looks that you can choose from, so just choose whichever one you like best. And then below, we can start finessing that look. I tend to leave most of the effects alone except for flicker and gate weave. Flicker emulates those micro differences in exposure from frame to frame, and trust me, a little goes a long way. Similarly, gate weave emulates the micro movements from side to side that the film makes as it runs through the reel. Next, we'll apply halation. Adjust the threshold until it's only affecting the brightest highlights, and again, a little goes a long way. I like to apply some secondary glow here to get some added bloomage, and I also like to add a little bit of grain here to the overall image. Also, if you're shooting with particularly sharp lenses, you can add a smidge of detail loss to pull back that sharpness. And on the last node, I'm going to add some more film grain, just so I have some added control over how it looks. And depending on the shot, I'm going to pull back the highlights and especially the midtones down so that the grain isn't showing up in places where it wouldn't on actual film. And that is our foundation. So let's apply it to the other cameras and see how it looks. Okay, so we have our finished look now, and it's looking pretty good. I wouldn't say this is a look I'd particularly use color-wise, but I think as far as getting something that looks pretty filmic, if we kind of do on and off there, it's looking pretty nice. You know, we got nice dense skin tones, some grain. If I zoom in here, we can see that halation coming in. You can kind of see it coming on and off. So overall, I'm pretty happy with where that's at. And I've done the duty of going across and copying and adjusting it to all the other cameras so we can see how it looks and acts there. Now, one thing that's important is I'm not trying to match these shots perfectly. They're all different sensors, different color sciences and whatnot. So I've just tried to get them all to a place where they look equally filmic. If you did want to actually match all these, I probably would have put them all into like DaVinci wide gamut, so they were all in the same color space and then worked with it. But for the purpose of this video, I just left them in their standard native color space. Switch off the grate for now, hop over to the Fuji, and I'm gonna switch it back on. 3, 2, 1. So you'll notice immediately the shirt isn't exactly the same color. Again, this is just subjective. I'm not trying to match these shots. I'm just trying to get that more filmic quality. So if I do a little on off, you can start to see those same nice dense skin tones. I'd probably reduce the detail a little bit more because the Fuji is quite a sharp camera, especially I'm using a Sigma lens on here, which is especially sharp. But even with the diffusion filters, it's looking pretty nice. So I'm pleased with that. Let's look at the iPhone. Here's the iPhone shot. I did this in log. If you want to use color space transform on the iPhone log, you just have to set it to Rec 2020 and Apple log, and then the color space that you're working in. So that's this. Let's do a little on off. 3, 2, 1. You're getting those very similar qualities. So skin tones could maybe be like a little denser, but I'm showing you what they're doing right now, so I can even dial that back up a little bit. Or if I head to the skin one, dial that in. Maybe dial the saturation up a little bit. Looking pretty nice. You can see it's doing a lot to the t-shirt. When it comes to your set design and pre-production, keep in mind the colors that are going to be affected a lot. Yeah, you can really see that's what the density slider does, but I think it just does such a nice job with skin tones. I think this is a really nice starting place. I think I'd probably take it in a different direction stylistically from here. Again, at this point, we're in a subjective part of the process. But as far as all the foundational building blocks, I'm very happy with how this is looking. Lastly, let's look at the GoPro. And 3, 2, 1, bang! I'm so impressed with how this turned out. I think the skin tones especially just look so nice, just kind of out of the box. Goodness, you can really do a lot. I think especially if you're looking kind of back here on some of these colors, it really just brings it down. Gives it that like nice organic, kind of natural feel. But yeah, I'm genuinely quite chuffed with how it looks in the GoPro. It might be my favorite. I think I'd probably go Lumix, GoPro, iPhone, Fuji. The Fuji I think is like a little bit more particular, requires a little bit more work to get it to a place where I'd be really happy with it. But again, where it's at right now, I think it looks pretty filmic, and gosh, if that isn't the intention of this video. Nice. Okay, so that's it. Again, these are the foundational building blocks that you can use in whatever software you prefer to use. It should all carry over. The theory is pretty tight. Now, if there's something I've left out or something that has come to mind that you want to see, let me know, because I would be interested in knowing also. But take this, go, experiment, come up with something cool. I'm going to export a lot based on the Lumix version of this, seeing as it's my favorite. So I'm going to leave a link to download that down below if you want to use it out just for the crack. But until next time, my name's Robin, and I'll see you in the next one. Slán leat.